Good afternoon and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Officers, or CACRAO, and StriveScan. We thank you for joining us today. A few housekeeping items and announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening and linked with this particular event. So we encourage you to check out additional offerings on the CACRAO website, that's CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters so that they can begin their session.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Exploring North Carolina Transfer Pathways Program panel. My name is Courtney Sola, and I am an Assistant Director at NC State University. I am joined by two colleagues who I will turn it over to briefly introduce themselves before we get started.
Hi, my name is Beth Watts, and I am the Associate Director for Online and Transfer Advising at Appalachian State University.
And hello, my name is Sydney Leister. I am a transfer admissions counselor at East Carolina University.
Awesome, so we are gonna go ahead and get started. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today. So a transfer student is a student who begins their academic career at one institution, earns some credit through the completion of coursework, and then for whatever reason decides to transfer to a different institution to finish their education. In North Carolina, nearly 11,000 students transfer from one of our state's 58 community colleges to one of the 17 institutions in the University of North Carolina system. When considering the transfer process, we encourage students to explore all the options and all the different pathway programs that are available to them through our North Carolina community colleges and the partnering institutions. We also encourage you to carefully research the policies of each school you are interested in transferring to, just because there is no one standardized policy when it comes to transferring to any institution in North Carolina. Now, today we really want to highlight the benefits of these transfer pathway programs that our individual institutions offer. We want to make it known that we are not the only institutions that offer these great pathway programs. There are many out there in North and South Carolina, but we just want to talk a little bit about our programs and the benefits of what we call co-admission programs. And it all begins at the community college. So there are many benefits associated with starting your education at your local community college. This is not definitely an exhaustive list by any means. There are a lot of great different benefits, but as a group, these are the four that we really recognize. So of course, one of the biggest benefits of starting at a community college are the lower costs. So no matter which college you choose to attend or which major you choose, for the most part, the first 2 years of your curriculum will mainly consist of the same set of classes, whether you're taking that at a community college or at your institution. What's great about attending a community college for 2 years is that it enables you to get all of your basic classes out of the way while saving a significant amount of money. Community college students are also eligible for financial aid, which once again can really help make college a lot more affordable for our students. Another benefit of attending a community college is that a lot of community college classes are actually going to be a lot smaller than what you would find in a traditional four-year setting. This gives students more opportunities to really interact with their professors and ask for help if you need it, which can really lead to deeper engagement and greater success in the classroom. One of the great things about community colleges too is that it really does provide for a lot of flexible scheduling with our students. So community colleges typically offer a larger slate of night classes than many four-year universities do, or even online programs, which really does provide you a lot of options if you're wanting to work during your first few years of college, or if you have household responsibilities and you want to take later classes. There's also a lot of academic flexibility at community colleges. So that really gives you the opportunity to test out the waters at, once again, a drastically lower cost, especially as you're exploring your interests and exploring possible majors. What's great about a community college is that you're allowed to take a lot of courses that are of different interests to you before solidifying what your academic program may be that you're interested in transferring into. And then, of course, the biggest benefit of starting at a community college and why we are here today are the co-admission pathway programs that our community colleges offer. So enrolling in a community college does not have to be your final destination. Many two-year schools offer admissions agreements with public colleges, especially within the state of North Carolina, that allow for qualified transfer students to not only transfer their credits towards a bachelor's degree, but they also offer guaranteed admission to all of our respective institutions. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sydney to talk a bit more about what co-admission programs are.
Great. So like Courtney mentioned, co-admission programs is the sole purpose of this presentation. It's why you're listening in, maybe. Obviously, one of the greatest benefits of being a transfer student. So I'll preface this real quick. We're obviously going to speak towards our own specific co-admission agreement. So Appalachian, East Carolina, as well as NC State. But if there is another school, maybe an NC State school or a South Carolina school that you're interested, we definitely encourage you to visit their transfer page, see what programs they also may offer that are very similar to these programs. Now they're all going to differ a little bit, so they all have their specific different requirements. We'll go through those, so that's something to consider as well. But what is a co-admission program, right? So a co-admission program is designed to increase transfer student access as well as success to the four-year institution. So these programs are going to provide academic and program support for students during their time in the community college, and then prepare them for a successful transition and timely completion of that four-year degree. So it's there to really increase your success towards a program. And another thing that I'll mention on the next screen, but I'll preface real quick, is that it's not going to guarantee you admission to a specific program. And I'll go into a little bit more detail. So why would you want to choose a co-admission program? Biggest benefit is going to be the academic advising. So that's where I will start. That is going to give you access to the advisor who is going to help you identify maybe the specific program or major that you are interested in. Maybe it's going to fit what you're interested in studying or your career goals, and then also align with your academic abilities. And then what they're going to do is help map out your plan. So what classes do you need to take at that community college? How are they going to transfer so that you really utilize your time both at the community college and the four-year institution? So that's a part of those co-admission programs. Then alongside that is then the financial aid advising. So I like to call it the free money, or that federal aid. So that is going to be something we're going to help maximize your money while you're at the two-year institution and then transitioning into the four-year institution. It may be a little bit different than starting directly into the four-year. So we want to make sure that you're obviously coming out with the least amount of money possible. Like Courtney mentioned, transferring is so cost effective. So that's something you want to take advantage of as well. And then one of my most favorite is going to be the networking ability within co-admission programs. So you're obviously going to get to network with the academic advisor, maybe some financial aid scholarships, people at the institutions, but then you're also going to be able to come to campus, maybe meet other students within those co-admission programs. You're going to meet students that are at that four-year institution, so you don't come in blindly to that four-year school, but you're actually coming in maybe already friends with other students through that program, which is absolutely incredible. And then the most important, probably the sole goal of a co-admission program, is that guaranteed admission. So you are guaranteed admission to the university, not necessarily the competitive programs like engineering, nursing, for example. So that is something you'll definitely want to make sure you utilize that academic advising, know what you need for the specific program, and whether the co-admission program is a good fit for that major or interest of study. And I guess now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Beth, and we'll dive deeper into each of our specific co-admission programs.
All right, thank you so much. So Appalachian, if you guys have never been to Appalachian, we are located in the heart of the high country, right in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We sit right at about 3,333 feet in elevation. So we're very excited to be able to offer our students 4 distinct seasons. And our students have quite a few majors that they are able to choose from. And also our students have quite a few different opportunities here on campus. And that's one thing that makes Aspire Appalachian so great, because students can go ahead and start utilizing some of these programs. And I think that's one of the great things about the co-admission programs, as you'll see as we go through each of our individual institutions, students are able to go ahead and start accessing campus resources early on, and I think that really helps with the transfer success. So right now, Aspire Appalachian, our current partnership is with Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute. We piloted this starting last year, and we're excited to say that we had 7 students graduate from the program and move on to Appalachian starting this fall, and we've got about 70 to 75 students that are currently active in the program at that one institution. So we're very proud of that. And as Aspire has continued to grow, of course, we're going to continue to grow that to other institutions. So we are in contact right now with Central Piedmont, Catawba Valley, Gaston College, Western Piedmont, and Wilkes Community College to develop Aspire Appalachian programs for them. So, but who is eligible to participate? And as Sydney said earlier, these co-admission programs are all a little bit different. So make sure that you're researching them and seeing which one's going to be best for you. And you'll see how they're different again as we go through this. So who is eligible for Aspire Appalachian? Those students that have completed ACA 122 with the grade of C or better. They must have at least 2 semesters remaining at the community college to transfer degree completion, and they must be a full-time student, which means they must be taking 12 hours or more of credit in order to stay eligible for the program. In order to transfer to Appalachian, they must graduate with a minimum GPA of a 2.25. Again, that's 2.25 cumulative. So if for some reason a student has attended an institution before the community college, we will be looking at both GPAs and combining those to see what that looks like for that institution. We will also be taking all the statewide and institutional articulation agreements. So if you aren't familiar with what an articulation agreement is, it's usually just an agreement between one institution and another that just says how courses are going to transfer for a certain program. And we'll go over that a little bit more as we get into the presentation some. So the benefits of Aspire Appalachian is you do get guaranteed admission upon completion of the eligible 2-year program, again with that 2.25 cumulative GPA. You also get access to various resources here on our campus, things like the library, various centers within the student union, and then we're also going to be developing a webinar series that's going to help students through the transfer process. So this will cover things like advising, admissions, financial aid, and career development. So those are some of the benefits of being an Aspire student, is you go ahead and get that information really early. Also, students get to participate in student clubs and organizations. Appalachian has over 400 different clubs and organizations, everything from a nationally ranked Quidditch team to the gospel choir, all the way to the transfer student organization. So there's a ton of stuff to do here on campus. I will say with Aspire, those students are not allowed to participate in Greek life just because of the dues and things that are associated with that, but all other clubs and organizations are available to those students. So we really hope that maybe one day you'll aspire to Appalachian, or just come visit us and visit the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. Thanks so much.
Very good. So East Carolina University, I'll go ahead and just give you a run through of the institution if you're not aware, and then I'll also run through our co-admission agreement, Pirate Promise. But ECU, we're located in Greenville, North Carolina. We are the 3rd largest institution in the state with roughly just over 29,000 students, so pretty big institution. We've got a 19-to-1 student to faculty ratio. I do love to point out for our transfer students specifically, we've got an average class size of about 25, so that is going to be a great transition. You have the smaller classes at the community college, and then you're able to really feel that here at ECU, a much more family feel, smaller school feel, despite the larger size. And then we do have roughly 2,500 transfer students transfer every single year. So at ECU, you're not going to be the only transfer student. We have them. They are an incredible, incredible aspect of our campus. So you're definitely not alone if you choose to transfer. And then roughly 73% of that 2,500, they actually come from our North Carolina community college system. So we typically have almost all 58 community colleges represented. So that's something too, that's not a rare thing at all. We are also a doctoral research institution at ECU, the third largest in the state as well. And roughly 40% of our undergraduate body is involved in that research. So that is an incredible opportunity to really, what I like to call it is hands-on learning. So that is something that we're definitely proud of at ECU. It's continued to expand within all departments at ECU. And then at ECU, we have the largest college of business, education, nursing, and allied health sciences in the state of North Carolina. So we do produce the most teachers, nurses, and healthcare providers in the state. So just some things that we're really well known for. And so within those, apart from those, we do have 12 total academic colleges or schools with about 84 baccalaureate level programs to choose from. So you've got a plethora of options, and that's always a great place to kind of start exploring, even if you're just at the community college. So then our co-admission agreement, Pirate Promise. So also fairly new, like Appalachian State. So we're only about, I think this is our second full year of Pirate Promise. So we have roughly 130 students in the program. It also, like App, it is guaranteed admission to ECU with the completion of that associate's degree. And I'll go into kind of the requirements in just a second. We do have 36 partnerships across the state. So the screen was not big enough to fit all 36. So I encourage you to go to piratepromise.ecu.edu to see the list and see if there's one in your area that is part of Pirate Promise. What it'll also guarantee you is a waived application fee once you're ready to apply to ECU. So once you're completing that 2-year degree, it's going to give you the academic advising, like I mentioned earlier, as well as access to financial aid counseling, which is super important. And we also have something called Raise Me, which is a micro scholarship opportunity at the community college. So a great way to earn more free money, like I like to call it. And then you're also eligible to purchase an ECU One card, just like our students, and that's going to gain access to our libraries, the gym. It'll give you access to certain athletic events. So that's a cool thing that we also give our Pirate Promise students, as well as events on campus. And then you also have access to our career services. So really a great way, jumpstart to analyzing what you want to do. So what is your career goal instead of maybe your degree? So there's always that next step. What do you want to do instead of what do you want to study, right? So how do you apply and how are you eligible for Pirate Promise? So you must be enrolled within your first year. You must be enrolled and apply within your first year of your 2-year degree. So whether it's just starting or it's your first or second semester, that's great. And then you have to have, like I said, full time, so 12 hours or more, unless you're early college or CCP. And you have to maintain a minimum 2.5 GPA. So those are our minimum requirements. As long as you're meeting those and complete your degree with those, you would be eligible for our Pirate Promise.
Awesome. Thanks, Sydney. And Beth, I think I might have skipped over your Appalachian slide, so I'm going to go back a few slides, everyone, just so we can learn a little bit more about Appalachian before jumping into NC State.
Oh, thank you. Okay, there we are. All right, I'll start over from this one. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
All right, so I'll just take a few minutes. I kind of highlighted on it a little bit more. Again, Appalachian is in the mountains of North Carolina. We have over 150 majors and 7 undergraduate colleges. Like Courtney and Sydney were speaking of earlier, we do have kind of a smaller class size, and so that is a big benefit for our students, 16-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And we also have quite a few students that study abroad. As I said earlier, we have 60 different countries that students go to. Quite a few internships here on our campus. Most of our programs do require some sort of internship, and so we have internship fairs every single semester that bring in students and employers just to start the networking process. And this has been a great benefit to our students because 98% are employed or enrolled in a master's degree within 1 year of graduation. So we're very fortunate to have those resources for our students. And thank you, Courtney, for letting me go back. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I must have got click happy and just skipped right over it.
No problem. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Beth. All right, so now we're going to start talking a little bit about NC State University. So once again, my name is Courtney Sola. I am one of the assistant directors in our Office of Admissions. So we recognize that at NC State, the pathway is not always direct. About 20% of our students at NC State actually start their academic career elsewhere before finding NC State. So about 1 in 5 of our students actually transfer to our institution. This past fall, we enrolled over 1,400 transfer students that represented 52 of our 58 North Carolina community colleges. So we like to consider ourselves to be a really transfer-friendly institution. We really value our transfer population on our campus, and we do everything that we can to ensure that not only are you successful in our application process, but also once you become a member of our Wolfpack community. So a little bit about NC State. So we are located in Raleigh, North Carolina. So Raleigh is the capital city of the state, also the second largest city within our state. And really within our city, we find that Raleigh is able to afford students a lot of different social, professional, and research opportunities. And of course, whereas those opportunities are present in our city, they're also present on our campus. So NC State is currently the largest institution in North Carolina. We proudly serve the most amount of North Carolinians. So we are home to over 36,000 students, about 24,000 which will be in our undergraduate programs and the rest in our graduate level programs. NC State also prides itself on being a Research 1 institution, so we are incredibly research intensive. We incorporate research into every student's curriculum regardless of what your academic major may be, and we encourage all students to engage in some type of research as they are at NC State. Speaking of research, NC State Centennial Campus is a nationally acclaimed public-private research campus where about 70 different corporate, government, and nonprofit partners work alongside over 70 different research and academic units. And more times than not, when we find that students are actually able to engage in research, it actually ignites their own entrepreneurial spirit. So NC State's actually ranked number 11th in the nation for entrepreneurship programs, fun fact that some of you may not know. And currently we have over 70 different startups and spinoffs actually started by NC State student research. So once again, entrepreneurship is alive and well on our campus. And all of those startups and spinoffs actually attract about $1.7 billion in venture capital, which is crazy to think about. Once again, kind of going with entrepreneurship and professional development opportunities, not only is our location in Raleigh really conducive to a variety of different jobs, internships, and co-ops for students, but we also provide the appropriate resources on our campus, such as our Career Development Center, to really aid students in their job and internship search process and make sure that they are going to be the most competitive candidate in any job that they come across. And then most notably is probably our academic programs. So NC State currently offers over 100 different majors that span across 10 different academic colleges. Now, yes, we are most notably known as a STEM institution, but I can promise you that we are not STEM exclusive. So we have a fantastic College of Humanities and Social Sciences where you'll find your traditional psychology or sociology degrees. Our Poole College of Management is where you will find all of your business degrees. We have a great College of Design, as well as the largest College of Textiles in the nation, which I find really interesting. So once again, not STEM exclusive by any means. And then of course, we also offer our community college collaboration program. So C3, which we call it, is NC State's dual enrollment, dual admission program between NC State and our 10 regional community college partners, which you can see listed on the screen. We are excited to announce that we just added an 11th partner. So James Sprent Community College in Duplin County is also now a part of our C3 family. So as we've mentioned, C3 is a co-admission program. So you are guaranteed admission to NC State by completing this program. But as Sydney has mentioned, you are not guaranteed admission into your specific academic program of choice. So that's where the academic advising that's a part of these co-admission programs is so important for students, especially when you are applying maybe for a more competitive academic program or college at your institution. So upon completion of a student earning their AA, AS, or AE degree with a 3.0 cumulative GPA or better, you are guaranteed admission to NC State, but once again, not necessarily that academic program of choice. Now, there are a lot of benefits to being a part of our C3 program. One of the biggest benefits, of course, like Sydney mentioned, is that academic advising component. So our academic advisors at State will meet with all of our C3 participants to make sure that your associate's degree is falling in line with your anticipated bachelor's degree at NC State, and that you are going to be a competitive applicant when you apply to NC State and apply to that particular academic program of choice. Along with meeting with your advisor to discuss academics, we also do offer financial aid advising for all of our students who are a part of the C3 program. Students also have access to course planning tools and degree audits even when they're at the community college, so you can see exactly what courses you need to complete to earn your bachelor's degree from NC State. Our C3 students are also invited to a variety of different networking events, not only to really connect with the students at their particular community college, but also students across all 11 community colleges and C3 partners, as well as NC State students. So we work really hard to get you connected to make sure that your transition to NC State is as seamless as possible. And of course, there's a lot of opportunities to visit our campus as well as apply for C3 specific scholarships. Now you're probably wondering who is eligible to apply for our C3 program. So high school students can apply for C3 right out of high school. So if you are a high school student and you're interested in applying for C3, we would just encourage you to have completed less than 30 CCP or dual enrollment hours. Or if you want to go ahead and enroll in your community college first and then apply to C3, you're more than welcome to. But if you are enrolled in a community college, once again, it's recommended that you have less than 30 hours completed at your specific institution. And this also goes along for all of our dual admission programs. You do have to be a North Carolina resident for tuition purposes to be eligible for these programs. Now, who is C3 looking for? C3 is really looking to enroll students from a low to moderate income background. They typically define this background as being about $85,000 or less for their income. We really encourage first generation students, rural community students, or any military affiliated students to apply for our C3 program. And do know that this program is not eligible for early college or middle college students. If you have more questions or want to learn more about the program, I encourage you to visit the C3 website. And if you have any questions about any of our dual admission programs, please do put those questions in the Q&A function, and we'll be answering all questions at the end of the formal presentation. But at this time, I'm going to pass it back over to Beth to tell you guys about a couple more opportunities available to you.
All right, guys, so as you're thinking about advising, because as we've all said here in the presentation, advising is hugely important. We really want to make sure that you are getting the courses that you need while you're at the community college. And even if you're going to do dual enrollment at an early college, the tools that we're getting ready to show you are going to be very, very valuable as you are picking out classes. One of the things that every institution, UNC institution, has had to develop is the baccalaureate degree plans. Some institutions call these baccalaureate degree plans or BDPs, some call them transfer guides. Basically, what these guides do is they tell you what classes you can take at the community college to complete a 2-year degree and then transfer to a UNC system school to complete a bachelor's degree. So it's very important that you pay very close attention to these. This one is from ECU, and as you can see, it's listed community college courses in that top left-hand side, and then in the bottom left side, it's given you the courses that you would take as a junior and senior at that institution. Again, all institutions in North Carolina have had to develop baccalaureate degree plans. They all look a little bit different, but just look for those whenever you go to their website so that you know what courses you need to take for your major. Also keep in mind, as we've said earlier, whenever you do the co-admission programs, that's admission into the university, but the programs that require specific admissions, past university admissions, information about that will be listed on these baccalaureate degree plans. So if there's a special GPA that you have to have or certain hours or anything like that, all that information is given to you right there. So make sure you pay attention to that and you're working with your community college advisor so that you're getting everything you need to get and that you're applying in a timely manner. Okay, the other thing that we also have had to develop is a transfer course credit database. Again, this is called different names wherever you are. Some call it a transfer equivalency database, but each institution, again, has had to build this, and this tells you how courses have transferred previously to that institution. So the community college has what's called the baccalaureate, or I'm sorry, the comprehensive articulation agreement, and that's what dictated the baccalaureate degree plans, but it also gives you a list of all the transfer courses that are available at the community colleges. Then these databases tell you how those courses will transfer to your UNC institution, again, with a grade of C or better. Please keep in mind, you have to have a grade of C or better for anything to transfer. So between those two resources, the baccalaureate degree plans and the credit course databases, you should be able to figure out what courses you need to take and if they will transfer to your institution of choice. But always, if you have any questions about anything, you can always reach out to the admissions office and they will be sure to help you with that.
Awesome. So that is all the information that we had for you guys today. We hope that you found it helpful and you are interested in exploring not only our co-admission programs, but really co-admission programs across the state. So at this time, we're going to open it up to a live Q&A. So once again, if you have questions, please do feel free to submit your questions through the Q&A function. And I will be reading those aloud for all of our panelists. So we have a couple questions coming in. So I'm going to start with our first one. And I think this one can be answered by all three of us. So do we offer open house events or times to visit specifically for transfer students? So Beth, I'll let you kick that one off, talking about Appalachian's campus visit opportunities.
Okay, well, we definitely, in the open house, we definitely have some specific transfer sessions during open house, and that will be virtual. It's coming up, I'm thinking October 17th, I think is the date, but you have to check me on that one. But then we also offer other opportunities for students to visit campus. We usually have what's called Transfer Track, and those are transfer information sessions every Tuesday at 6 and Friday at 2. So if you want to get some general information, you can definitely look on there, and that's basically just going to appstate.edu/visit, and you'll be able to find that information.
Sydney, do you guys offer any visits for transfer students? Yes, so ECU, I would just go ahead and go to transfer.ecu.edu, but transfer specific, we are currently doing virtual information sessions specifically for transfer students. You can register for those online. Our open house will also, like Beth mentioned, do specific transfer sessions. You can register for that. It's going to be October 18th. And ECU is actually conducting on-campus tours. They're very personal, very small, but if you are interested and comfortable coming to campus, we are doing specific tours for transfer students. So if you want to come on to campus, you can register for those, please do so, and we'd be more than happy to show you on campus as well.
Awesome, thanks. And then for NC State, we are offering a variety of transfer virtual information sessions. We offer our general transfer information sessions every other Friday. And then we also offer a handful of topic-specific sessions, a virtual tour, and even student chats. So we would definitely encourage you to check that out on our campus visit website. We will be hosting a virtual open house this year as well. The date is going to be released soon, so if you're on our mailing list, be on the lookout and you'll receive communication about our open house soon, and there will be programming specifically for transfer students. All right, so next question, and I'm going to gear this one to you, Beth. Can transfer students transfer at any point in the year? So can they do summer, fall, and spring enrollment, or are there limitations on that?
As far as Appalachian goes, we do not have any limitations on that, but one thing I will encourage you to do is check out those baccalaureate degree plans, because sometimes I know departments suggest that students start in the summer, and so whenever you're applying, you need to pay attention so that you know that you need to apply for the summer term. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what those degree plans are recommending, because that's probably going to be your best resource. I know for us here at Appalachian, we have quite a few of our industrial design programs that require summer starts. So that's what I would pay attention to. But as far as I know, and Courtney, Sydney, tell me, they can start anytime, correct? Do y'all have any limitations on when they could start?
We do
NC
not.
State, we don't. So our students are eligible to enroll in all three terms. I would just encourage students to be cognizant of, once again, sometimes particular academic programs, especially for state where we are a major dependent institution, some may not enroll in this spring term. And also understanding that enrollment capabilities are very different between fall and spring terms at institutions. So for example, at NC State, spring admission is a lot more competitive because we have more limited enrollment capabilities as opposed to fall. So that's where doing your research is really important, regardless of where you want to transfer. It's just understanding their application deadlines and enrollment terms and what's needed of you to be considered the most competitive applicant. All right, so next question I'm going to direct towards you, Sydney. Does your program, and Beth, you can chime in too, do we offer an Associate of Applied Science Articulation Agreement within North Carolina community colleges?
Absolutely. So here at ECU, we actually accept most AAS degrees. So if they are IT related, so anything in industrial technology, we actually have an exhaustive list, and we have an incredible program. It's called BSIT, or Bachelor of Science in Industrial Technology. So that is something, as long as you complete that AAS degree, and we do have some other requirements, we look for certification completion, that option is available. So if you go to our website and literally just type BSIT, it'll pull up all the approved AAS degrees that we accept at ECU. So I don't know what other state schools have this agreement, but our agreement, I think there are roughly 30 AAS degrees that we will accept for that program only. But yes.
I will say we definitely accept various programs, AAS and AFA. If you just go on our website, transfer.appstate.edu, and look up articulation agreements, then you will see that list of those articulation agreements. So it just varies based on the institution and what program we're working with.
Yeah, at NC State, I would say AAS articulation agreements are a lot more limited, but we also do have all of our articulation agreements posted on our website, so we would encourage you to also look at those. All right, so next question that I think all three of us can answer, so whoever wants to jump on it can. Can you kind of differentiate, what are early college or middle college students versus maybe a general transfer student? Versus just dual enrollment students. Anybody want to take that?
I'll take that.
Thanks, Beth.
All right. So, because I work a lot with early college and dual enrollment students. So a dual enrollment student is somebody who's going to be doing what's called Career and College Promise, or CCP. And so that allows a student to get up to 45 hours of an associate's degree while they're in high school. And a lot of those classes will count back for their high school graduation requirements. So like if they take, I think it's 2 histories, then they can get their history requirement for high school graduation, things of that nature. An early college student is one who is actually enrolled in an early college or innovative high school, and that's separate. A lot of times those are on a community college campus. I think UNC Wilmington has their own early college also on their campus. And so those students are dedicated to graduate with their high school degree or the high school diploma, and then a 2-year transfer degree. So those students usually come to a UNC institution as a junior because they usually have around 60 hours or more. And then whenever you're looking at a traditional transfer student, again, that's based on whatever that institution's criteria is as far as what that transfer student definition is. Here at Appalachian, you have to be out of high school for at least 1 year and have 24 hours of transfer credit. And the admission standards are not quite as strenuous as if it were a first-year student.
Awesome, thank you. So Beth, this one's directly for you. Is Aspire Appalachian available for all early college students, or do you have to be below a certain grade level?
So as we move forward with our expanding Aspire Appalachian, we will be including early college students. So we are still working out what that's going to look like, but as of right now, there are no restrictions. So we are kind of thinking that as early college students come into the pipeline, that we're going to start working with them. But as it rolls out to our other institutions or other community colleges, we will be sending more information out on that. But that's a great question. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Sydney, I'm going to direct this one to you. So are the CAA baccalaureate degree plans different than co-admission programs? And if they are different, can you explain how?
Yes, so the CAA, or the Comprehensive Articulation Agreement, is statewide. So that's going to encompass all of those transfer associate degrees. So that's basically an agreement between the North Carolina Community College System and the UNC system schools. Basically an agreement that says we will accept that associate's degree. So there are certain degree or associate degrees on that list. Whereas the specific co-admission agreements, these are something that the institutions are just doing with typically schools that are close by. So just a really great way to get connected. So it uses the CAA in a way to kind of promote transferring in a smoother process and giving you those benefits that we talked about. ladies, feel free to articulate that better, but that's kind of the best way to explain it. So it's different, but the CAA is used within the co-admission agreements, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing to know too is with the CAA, baccalaureate degree plans, they don't guarantee admission to any of our universities like a co-admission program does. They help put you in the best position to make yourself a competitive applicant, but it's not going to guarantee admission to any of our schools. All right, so this is a question for all three of us, and Beth, we can start with you. So how many students apply to transfer to your schools, and then typically how many do you enroll each year or each semester? And would you say if your school is transfer friendly or not?
I would definitely say that Appalachian is transfer friendly. We have been on the Phi Theta Kappa honor roll for 4 years now. So that's something that there's only about 153 institutions throughout the country that are on that honor roll. So we're very proud of that. And we brought in about 1,500 transfer students this fall, and usually we bring in about 400 to 450 every spring. So our transfer population is growing. About 1 in 3 students on campus is a transfer student, so you have a lot of friends around. And so we're very proud of that. But yes, I feel like we are a very transfer-friendly institution.
I will echo that. ECU is definitely transfer friendly. So the 2,500 students I gave earlier, that would be for all fall, spring, and summer semesters. So for fall is obviously our biggest pull. This past fall, we enrolled 1,900 transfer students and had roughly 3,000 applications. For ECU, when you apply, you're applying to just the university. So as long as you're meeting our minimum requirements, you're good. Now I could get into the nitty gritty of the different competitive programs like nursing and engineering and nutrition science. But overall, as long as you're meeting the requirements, you're in. So then spring applicants, we have roughly up to 1,000, just depending on the year. But that's typically for us actually not quite as competitive because we don't have as many applicants. And like I said, you're being admitted to the institution, but that's always something to consider because similar to NC State though, some of our competitive programs don't admit for spring. So that's always something to kind of watch out for.
Awesome. And I would say NC State also is a transfer-friendly institution. Once again, we work as hard as we can to make sure that we are providing all the appropriate support services to make sure your transition to NC State is successful, but then also that you are successful academically and socially once you're on our campus. At NC State, we enrolled just over 1,400 transfer students in the fall, and then a couple of hundred transfer students in the spring. So again, about 1 in 5 students on our campus actually started as a transfer student. So we would consider ourselves to be transfer friendly. In the Q&A, we're getting a couple questions about early college high school students. I will say, shameless plug, on Thursday, we are also doing an early college high school panel with a couple of different institutions within North Carolina. So if you have questions about applying as an early college high school student, and if you would apply as a first year or transfer student, I encourage you to sign up for that panel and ask all your questions there. So next question we have, this is a great advice question. So both Steph and Sydney, when do you encourage students to start considering the transfer process and researching the institutions that they're interested in transferring to?
Personally, I don't think you can never start too early. I say start as early as possible, start researching the institutions, as many schools as you can get in contact with, or, granted right now you can't go to the campus as much, but if you can visit the campus, and I always tell students it's never ever too early to start reaching out. Whether you're a freshman in high school and just starting the process of thinking about it, or whether you're a senior in high school or even getting ready for the transfer process, go ahead and start asking questions. And I know it's cliche to say, but no question is ever a stupid question, because if you don't know, then there's probably somebody else that doesn't know. So make sure that you're asking those questions, okay? So reach out, please reach out early.
Yeah, I'll echo that again, the sooner the better. So as soon as you can possibly start researching your different pathways, different options, different schools that meet kind of your desired outcome, obviously the better. The more you'll know, the more prepared you'll be.
Awesome. And then let's see. our last question, I think with the time that we had, is just when is the early college high school panel? So that is Thursday afternoon. I believe it's at 1:00 p.m. But that registration is available on the student registration website where you would have registered for this panel. But with that being said, I think we are out of time. We have hit our 45-minute limit. So thank you everyone for logging on with us today. And Adam, I think I can turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Once again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. It was an incredible session. We ask that whenever you finish and close your window, that you'll take a part in the quick survey opportunity. It's a 4-question survey that should appear once you close your window. Courtney mentioned that there will be future sessions. Please take advantage of any and all sessions that you see that you are interested in. There'll be sessions for the rest of this week as well as leading into the following weeks. And last but most certainly not least, the recording will be made available on the CACRAO website. Give it about a week's time. That's what we were instructed and informed. But with that being said, have a lovely rest of the day and take care.